Sunsets. Hey, you're recording it. You did it. Good work.
Thanks. Anyway, don't let me interrupt.
All right. That's awesome. Congratulations. See, you just do it. Just go and you find it. It works. Um, and so you get to enjoy the global experience of all the sunsets and sunrises as reflected upon the moon at this awesome, momentous moment. Okay, so we know about this, and we're in this corridor. They call this corridor, and this is a whole nother thing, by the way. This corridor at the core thing is a whole thing. Anyway, so we are in this amazing window of time. And in the middle here, so everybody knows that at the new moon, you that's when you sow, that's when you plant what you want to reap in the full moon, right? However, because due to a lot of factors, this corridor, this space between these two eclipses is amplifying all of these things. Our manifestation is more precise, for instance. And this is not simply had to be started during the new moon, though most of us have started this purging process during this time. That's just what happened. And kind of like allowing ourselves to release and become who we are. Anyway, the 22nd, which is Sunday, is also a big day. I don't really know why exactly. I just know that it is. And it's what's cool about it is it actually is evenly proportioned on the calendar to make a play button. So we have this going on. We have, and the other side note about these eclipses is it's pretty big deal, astrologically speaking. If there are two solar eclipses within a 6-month window, this is only a 2-week window. And so anyway, there's a lot going on. It's just, I'm really excited that this and the release, a lot of people are feeling density coming through the front of them. You just release it through the back of you, allow it to dig into the ground, and everything's going to be fine. Thank you for letting me do my spiel. The energies are so awesome. It's celebrate time. There's no sadness here. It's awesome.
No, I agree with you, but most of us out here aren't always really understanding what the energies are doing.
Yeah.
And so it seems almost like we're in this flip-flop yo-yo.
Yeah.
And even myself, I'm finding that I'm having to really be in the experience of feeling like I'm not connected, like I'm sort of in the void and nothing's happening and time isn't relevant. But yet I'm trying to make it relevant because I need to get things moving. I'm in this sort of stalemate. I'm ready. I want some excitement, but at the same time, I want to rest. And so there's all this, people out here that are 1 minute they're happy and the next minute they're bizarrely in their shadow. And it's quite obvious to me. I tell you, when you stay in this upper register of frequency versus falling down into the lower register, and neither one are bad, you're just having an experience. I find then I notice more smiles. Strangers are just smiling, kind of like how I am. So for me, it's like I'm always walking around with a smile or holding the door for somebody or just being polite or just smiling through my eyes or just listening or slowing my roll. And when I experience the mirror of others doing that back, I'm kind of like, oh, something's actually happening here. What is going on? So it's definitely a time to celebrate, no matter where you are on that chord. Truthfully,
Yeah. It's and to echo back something that you said based on some visual stuff I've been getting from my guides on some different energies is really was a cool conversation. Is that so we saw two Pamelas. One was like jet black and one was like the most brilliant white of white. And it's an iconic image. I actually just shared an example of it on Facebook not very long ago. Anyway, as a meme, I mean. So what they did is they were showing they show these things to me after I've done it, so then I can know how to show it. Does that make sense?
sure.
And so, because I think also too, because that's when I ask, I'm like, what was that? Like I'm still so childish, like, why? Anyway, so they had this light version of me, like the one that was emanating this brilliant white light, and this black one, this dark one, was so dark there was no shadow or reflection upon it. And she was to sit in within, to go within the darkness, right? And that's why we did this. That, like, the void you're talking about, I spent September there. I know exactly what you're talking about. Like, and remotely, kind of engaging, like, I don't have a whole lot of memory of September. Very, very, I'm not a drinker. This is what was happening. And this, from this void place, we have a buddy, Scott. He was such a good teacher. What he had said to me, and I won't forget it because it's a very true statement. We must first bend our knees in order to jump. And so we go down to go up. And a lot of times we're trying to just constantly go up, and we're forgetting to go down and look at these parts, because we're trying to pull up a plant, right? And this plant has roots that need to come too. And sometimes it's done, it takes a little bit longer than you want it to. So you're going down and up because you're like moving the plant up and down to kind of get it to loosen these roots, right? Sometimes they're well established. They're through all kinds of things. And so as these densities come in, the guidance that I was given, so it feels like cold sweats on the front of your body. And it's fun because I'm starting to be able to identify where on your body and emotions actually physically, energetically go. And it's like right here, down the whole front of your body, all the way to the tops of your feet. This is where sadness comes. And it always comes forward, comes this way. And what I didn't know was, I mean, what we were doing was working, but it's one thing that works even more is if we allow ourselves to absorb it through us and let it go back. So I found this most easy to do when I was laying on my back, to, just because my logic of gravity and things probably, and then let these things move through us like roots, kind of to dig out of our back energetically, like we do when we're in meditation and we're sending our energy down. Let it go down this way, because, and what I made to understand is that Gaia has some kind of, like, she's scrubbing it off, whatever, she's doing something. So she's part of this partnership to help. And that's the sadness. And so in order to do that, though, we need to fully embrace the sadness that comes. Like, most of us go, oh, we just need to, and just let it come into us, and I'm not saying create sadness, just when it comes, fully lean into it. And when you lean into it, I found that it was rather euphoric physical sensation, and then let it dig. And then it can go.
Yeah. Yeah. Do you feel like the void is more of the changing of the energetic and linear clock?
I don't fully understand your question.
So the void, let's talk about the void a little bit and how September kind of came and went,
Okay.
and how time is very, very different right now. So when I think of sort of like floating around in the void, but yet I know I'm here, but nothing's really happening, because linear time, the clock is still ticking, but the energetic clock is different. It's like there's something being interchanged in the background that just isn't in the knowingness yet, but we can feel something. Something is just different. Does that make sense?
Yeah, the changing of time away from the linear time has been occurring for a little while. I could say that all of the things that are known and not known or fully known to us are involved in this. So that's though the void definitely, when you go, the void places where you can collect like energy from all of this, what you would call darkness. It looks just, it's not light there. And there, it's like a clearing off place. And you find that you're empowered, and not like you're powerful, I'm gonna go whatever, but it's just like it's charging you up. It's helping you become more aligned and correct. And then you find that this darkness is you. So each void maybe would look a little different. Too, who knows? I do know that this is like the charging station. So maybe you can call it a pit stop even. So if we can connect to this place, you find, and getting over the idea of it being dark, it's not scary. It's not bad. It's the place that we kind of, it's the womb is really what I understood it as. It really was this mother womb place, too. When in regard to time specifically, the shortening of days really was noticed the most to me. Back in February is really when it started. There's been occasions where people in the vehicle with me my daughter will say things like, I wish we were there already. And we just got on the road and we're going someplace that's 20 miles away and everything's 60 miles an hour here. So it will take 20 minutes to get there. And all of a sudden we're like entering town. And like the radio didn't change. We didn't miss a beat. Nothing. I didn't black out. It's just suddenly now we're driving, a block away from our destination, and these types of things. And then time didn't change. But 1 minute. It took 1 minute to get there, and like, these types of things have to do with time and no. So what time is what time looks like. When they showed it to me, it was like really cool material though. Like it was like really silky, silvery, luminescent, it was really cool. But so this is what time is. Okay. Just as a flat sheet of paper is really what they gave me basically. And in order to exist in time, we have, it's folded, so it's not as easy to do it, but in order to exist in time, we created this funnel, this tube, so we can exist within it. And so what we've been doing since February, at least, I know longer than that. That's just when I became aware of it. And what we've been doing is we're doing this. We're flattening it out. And one timeline is here and one is here. And so what we had been doing for a little while, a lot of us were trying to stick it back together again. And this lesson, what they were trying to teach me at that point, it wasn't so much about time, but that what I was doing was I was trying to find a place for the timeline that I didn't want to have happen or whatever, that I wasn't going to consent to any longer. And they were saying, all you got to do is just not look at it, like not engage is what they meant, to not participate, just like you would in a busy city, street where everybody's walking around everywhere. You can let them walk by you, you can grab their attention, and when you grab their attention, you're starting anew. This is where we're going. And this segues perfectly to where we are right now, is that we're manifesting in an amplified way. So what you're focusing on is truly coming into creation with more precision, manifestation wise, than has ever been possible before. Which
it's like the dissolving of veils. And so that's kind of how I was looking at the void and the time. It was almost like you're going from, cellophane to lighter cellophane in some ways, where you're able to see through more clearly, but yet you still feel like you're in a void because both feet, one foot's here, one foot's there, so to speak. I know for me, I've caught myself kind of glitching in between both, like maybe not wanting to get totally out of the earthbound Sandy and maybe more into the divinity of Sandy, but then, hey, what's really happening here? Now I can relate to the hop, skip, and a jump to your destination. That's been occurring a lot. I took a drive on Sunday to Pennsylvania, and I was really looking forward to bits and parts of the drive where I can feel like when I get out of the city, what that feels like. And then when I can see the changing of the trees, and I swear I blinked and I was at my destination, and I didn't even look at the clock beginning or end, but I know time happened and I was there. So I just embraced whatever, lickety split movements I was making on this journey. And I think right now it's teaching us to really be in the moment, and we can expect what we put our our thoughts and our devotion to occur if we're really working on, getting in there and manifesting that. So it's be careful what you wish for.
Mhm.
Things are going to happen. And then what do you do with them when you find yourself there, which I think for me has stirred a lot of, energy and motion. I can't say it's been good, bad, or indifferent. I'll have days where I feel the energy's uplifting, and then I'll have days where I'm like, everything's stalled. Nothing's really happening here. And even my guides have been quiet. Dream state was super quiet until this morning. And I had a very vivid, interactive dream that was bizarre. Um, and then, just before we were going to go on, we really had nothing, planned to discuss, just jump on here and go with it. And then all of a sudden, the eye appeared and it's pink and I can see the movement and the sparkles. So I know consciousness and the guides and the energetics are right there. They're just, I often wonder, how much am I really paying attention, or am I blanking out? I feel like sometimes I'm blanking out
Mhm.
a lot.
Mhm. Yeah.
Like
Me
I'm
too.
just blanking out. Like I have no memory. I have no thought. I have no direction. I'm not sure. And it feels like it's empty up here.
That's what we're supposed to be doing right now. Yes. Like I started to have the same thing. So what you're talking about also echoes back to the experience I had with the void in September, where it was like blanking out, though there's live footage that I was not. Um,
Yes. Like your
you
laundry
know,
basket. It showed that you changed your clothes.
right. Yeah. And you know, I did find for my specific experience regarding that at that time, what was so I'm I'm happy to be of service however it is I can be, truly. And um I did look back with like embarrassment after that experience, though the whole point of that was to show it's okay to have flaws. It's okay to, say what's in your head. It's okay. And it wasn't an act. It wasn't this is what was happening. And it kind of felt like a pubescent male version of me was kind of running the show. And it wasn't like a possession or something like this. It was somebody else was helping at that time. And
Mm-hmm.
I got glimpses of it. Almost like if you were like a heavy drinker and you had blackouts kind of stuff, where, I have experience of that in my teens. And like, look, waking up and being like, okay, what did I do? Kind of stuff. And just having like vague recollection of it. That's what my days were like. And I know why. So they told me that this time right we're in right now, really what it is, it's like the spin cycle is an example that they're using to like lift, let the things that aren't serving you, that you're kind of hiding down there, to kind of rise up to the surface. And mine was a more accelerated version because I'm okay with that. Um, and uh, uh, when this stuff rises up, then we're being asked to look at it. This is part of who we've been carrying around for a while. Are we going to keep this now? And
Mm-hmm.
most of us will notice it's great to release it. Most of what came up for me were hidden parts of humanity within myself that I wouldn't have shared out loud, for whatever reason, social stuff. In it was the biggest thing. Um, this led into this incredible experience that I had with these beings that came to me, and they explained a lot of things. But one of the most exciting things that I got in that moment, since then we discovered a few more things, is that this is in order for us to leave behind the age of suspicion, is what they called it. The age of suspicion is a time that we've been living in for a while, where you can't trust your neighbor. You don't know for sure if your neighbor's like, not trust, like, but um, if a person's not able to trust their empathic abilities, or having, excuse me, I'm going to cough, throat chakra, not able to trust themselves in this way. When you're interacting with another person, you don't know if what they're saying is face value, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And so there's always this suspicion of your neighbor, your partner, your siblings, your whoever, fill in the blank. And there's always this question, are they being full on front up? And most people have learned to not be. It's rude to tell the truth, these kinds of things. And yeah, there's tact. You can use tact and still tell the truth, you know. Anyway, this is this exposure of our inside stuff isn't what's needed truly for us to get up to the pink frequency they're talking about. It's that being able to trust everybody else, because then you just naturally just don't, you know, that you're loved, that there's no judgment, and that everybody is the same. Like, we talk about how powerful we are because we're talking about everybody, we are all the same. And as soon as we can get past all these silly things like girls don't fart kind of stuff, you know, like, really, it's silly, the kind of things that are holding us back, you know?
Yep. We're all human.
Yeah.
We're all living in a human vessel, having human vessel experiences. And I think a lot of the facade that's been going on for quite some time is being removed, whether we like it or not. And people are having to see themselves in the mirror and in the mirror of each other. And I think that's a huge thing that's going on right now. And it's good, bad, or indifferent, because what you can see in someone else and you're like, I think I was like that at one point. And then you're like, no, actually, I think there might be a little glimmer of that still in me, but I'm containing it because I think I'm supposed to be a different way. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So I get what you're saying there. I don't know where to go from there, because I keep getting a whole lot of pictures about floating around in the void and bumping into other silver cords and planets.
Yeah.
And all those things. If anyone doesn't realize, I get my messages a lot through feeling and through pictures, as you do too, Pam. Mm-hmm. So yeah, that's where I am right now. I know veils are definitely becoming thinner. Things are shifting. And I also think that many of us may be in the middle of a guide shift as well. Like we've kind of graduated from maybe some of the guides that have been assisting us, and maybe some more are coming in. But I think some of them are watching to see how we're elevating and which way we're going before they assign some new ones. At least that's what I've been getting told from me. Yeah. It's like they're looking, going, well, we're just waiting to see how you get over this next hurdle before we send in so-and-so, or before we send in so-and-so. Right. In the meantime, you're just going to have to figure it out. And I'm like, damn, I need some help.
This is the quiet time, and the quiet time comes right after the purge really starts. And that's so you can be in your own energy. They're still there. The visual they always give me is the child on a bike the first time, riding without training wheels, and the parents holding onto the back of the seat, you know, running beside them. And then at some point, the parent lets go and are still running behind them with encouragement, though in motion, allowing yourself to be energy in motion. You will find that in this place, there is no need to connect to other energies, that you're being in your own energy. However, then there's a moment of startlement, feeling like, oh, wait a minute, I'm doing this, and where are you? And oh no, and that's what a lot of us do. And then there's a tree, you know, and a scraped knee, and then oh, here's the parents, and they're holding us and kissing us, saying, you know, you're okay. That's where we are again. It happens. They've always called it the respite with a capital R. It's that word is important to use, that one. I've tried to find a better fitting, in my opinion, and I've always been brought back to that one. This respite, there's a lull that happens where you are, like, a lot of people during this window of time, this experience that you're talking about, all of a sudden I'll get all these emails of people saying, did I leave the ascension experience? All of a sudden I can't feel anybody else. I'm like disconnected, and I don't feel connected to source, and oh no, and all this stuff. I understand. I'm not teasing or mocking anyone. This is an experience that I've had as well. Until I knew what it was, I also would go, I would say that when I do it, I still go into that place. This activation for me started right after the veil thinned. So the 15th. Well, I had 3 days of of activations that occurred with it, with like energies at night and stuff that happens with those cool kinds of like council kind of stuff. And um that led into manifestation in Pamela life, and there's just a lot of I learned how to be in my own energy again. I was doing it before, though I was didn't realize I wasn't doing it all the way because it was undetectable before to the way that it was. Um, and I think that it's because, like you said, we kind of are raising up our frequency now. So now we have new toys and we can have we see a more thorough picture. It's
Mhm.
like the example of the child cleaning up the table and then the parent coming in and cleaning up after the child, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, but I think for me, it stirred up a lot of. I'm feeling left out. I'm left out. Where is everybody? I'm left out, and especially when August and September, I was really coming into, okay, learning more boundaries, bringing my energy in closer, getting it stronger, more solidified, fortifying whatever it is I needed to do without compromising. And, of course, we always ask for clues and lessons along those bumpy roads. And I was at a particular job and I kept saying, all right, show me if this week is the week I'm supposed to exit out of here. Show me if it's this week. And then I would make up excuses and get over that week and go, I really need to leave there, until I got into that third week of September, right around my solar return, and going into, no, I am not going to allow myself to be compromised and
Yeah.
have little bits and pieces of my soul be taken or tweaked on someone else's terms,
Yeah.
because I gave permission. In some ways I'm participating, so I want to remove myself from that situation, because every time I do, other doors will open.
Yeah.
But now I'm in this time frame where I'm like, okay, door, where are you? What not, are you, is it you? You know, and I see it. They show it to me. They're like, just be patient, be okay with having a little downtime. You'll find you're financially okay and all your houses, everything's good. It's giving you time to do a little cleansing, a little detoxing, a little letting go, stuff that doesn't belong to you anymore. But then there's my human that gets in there and it's like, can we speed this up? You know,
Yeah.
where are you? I need some more clues, you know? And so, I mean, I do know that it's been a quiet void. It was one of the things I had written down this morning when I was doing some things. It was like, well, the no dreams and all those things are the quiet void. They're just giving you time to just be in that adjustment period to calibrate to
Right.
all the new energies of the veils thinning. Because it's like anything else, they've shown me, let's say you get a job promotion and you've always wanted it, you're longing for it. Then now you get there and you have all these new responsibilities. And it's like, how the heck am I going to get all this done in one day? And then you just need time to work through and get through the personalities of the work. And then all of a sudden it becomes a little easy breezy. Just like if you were playing a video game, you wouldn't stay on level one. You'd get up to level two and go, oh, yeah. And then level two would kick you back down to level one. You go, oh, I'm getting back up. And then you get really good at level two. And then you move on to level three. And then you have no fear when
Yeah.
four comes along, because you've stored it in your physical and in your subconscious that you can do this. But at the same time, it sort of feels a little lonely right now, at least for me.
Yeah. I would say that was the most common experience that a lot of people had. I had a moment of loneliness, and I say this with emphasis because as you know, I've been interacting with energies like my whole life. Like there's even when I was ignoring and pretending I wasn't seeing anybody, like I could see them still. They were still freaking there. Like it just I found at that time in my life that if I didn't engage with those who had passed that were coming to me as much, then they didn't come as often. And so I was kind of operating this way by that was how I was pushing snooze. Um, and due to this, don't recall ever truly feeling lonely. Like I really
Mhm.
don't, and then I have, I homeschool my child and we're like always together, and anyway, profound loneliness first settled in. Loneliness came, and then I knew what I was supposed to do was do a very thorough, intense shielding of my energy, cutting off all energy ties, severing cords completely. Um, Finding out while I was doing it, because it's contrary to what you'd want to do, right? You're like, I'm lonely.
Mhm.
And then also at the same time, I'm disconnecting from everybody. This is contrary
Mhm.
to what you want to do.
Mhm.
But I was being guided to do it and encouraged. And then um, what I had found was a heap of a mess that I didn't energetically know how to clear before. So I didn't realize it looked kind of like a whole bunch of different balls of yarn that had just tangled all together. Like that was my energy sphere. It was populated by the people I love. They weren't bad energies. I interact with multiple people every day and I love them. However, we have our own energy sphere. And so when I did that, then I felt even more profound sadness for a moment. And then stillness came and then sadness. And I was surprised by the sadness too. And that was when I did what I told you, where I found out that I needed to lay on my back and and I would leaned into the sadness. Like I was like, instead of going, why am I sad? Blah, blah, blah. Or I don't want to feel this way. What should I do instead? Or, just be sad and just
Mhm.
embrace it and this is a gift of the human that most energies don't get to have, by the way. When I've died,
Mhm.
I have had at least 5 clinical documentable near death experiences.
Mhm.
I know that I've had more. Those are the ones that I have proof of. And every time every time that I've left this energetic sphere and gone into this other realm space, whatever, all the energies that would be like family, your friends, or the people that were like waiting at the gate for you to get off the ride, would come to me and they would want to know what the experience was like, excitedly, because they're just like, whoa, what was it like, because not everybody gets to come, right? It's like a really cool honor. It really is, and I'm not just saying that to make everybody feel better. It really is a big deal. And so I always, every time was like, yeah, I'll tell you all about love and family and celebration and parties and picnics and mountainscapes, all the stuff that made me happy. And they didn't care. They know what that stuff's like. They know that. What they can't have their experience of, they don't have the ability to feel lonely. The illusion of separation is not possible when you know different. You cannot
Mhm.
feel that. You cannot feel sad. You just can't when when you're that illusion of separation isn't there. You cannot feel depressed. You when you mourning, loss, suffering, chronic depression. These are the stories they wanted. And earnest, like they were salivating, wow, popcorn style. And like
Mhm.
this is what they want to know about. This is the gift. And having known all of that and already known I needed to lean into it when it came, when it happened this time, this weekend, what was different was that I was laying on my back. I was in this place, this energy place where we are now. I had done a lot of healing, like a lot of us have been doing. We've been in a rapid healing window for a while. Really, it's been
Mhm.
going on for a while, but in a pronounced way since March this year, everybody. And so, I was able to lean into it so deeply that even though I had tears going in my ears, which is really drives me crazy, um, crying and being in the emotion, it became euphoric. And honestly, I'm gonna use it was physically euphoric. I'll be gentle with my words, um, and there was a very beautiful, awesome experience physically as this what you would consider bad. It's not
Mhm.
bad. It was me. It's parts of me. So remembering right now what we're doing, that's why we were talking about the puzzle pieces this whole time. And I never understood it. Not like it is. What we're doing is right now, every time you experience an emotion that's been ignored or neglected in some way, what you're doing is you're recollecting all of the aspects of you that have been lost, the fragmented pieces of us. And because we've had assigned it a label of unpleasantry due to its soiling nature of its sadness, we've ignored it and cut it off, and then we didn't get to have that power of ourself.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why you move it through your body and let Gaia clear it off for you.
Yes, yes. I call it like the entanglement. You're so entangled that you actually don't even know what your authentic self looks like
Right.
or feels like, because you're entangled in so much that you've collected here in this lifetime and many others, but also through the collective energies. And right now we're in a lot of collective energies. And we have to face it. We have to face it and feel it. I know I've had a lot of emotions bubble up, but I've never quite come to the tears coming out. So I've just sort of let it bubble and come back down, let it bubble and come back down without pushing it away.
Good.
Because I know it's uncovering and untangling bits and pieces of my raw, authentic me before all of the posty sticky notes all over me, as I call it, of like, oh, gotta do's, memories,
Right.
things to deal with, other people's stuff, just everybody's posty notes all over me. So you were clearing those out. And sometimes that'll come in ways of like, okay, well, you know what? Physically, I can clean out my closet today because that is something I could organize. And it's creating more of me wanting to organize
Yeah.
things. And at the same time, throw it all in a bucket and burn it.
Mm-hmm.
It's like I've got this like Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde personality. It's like, no time's like, no, sort through it, go through it, because it's cathartic when you get rid of things you're never going to wear or stuff you're not going to use. Maybe it's somebody else's treasure. Maybe it's just plain trash, whatever it is. There's just something about the movement of the energy that
Yeah.
helps me cycle through some of the emotional human ups and downs.
Yeah. This is something it's been fun to watch because you know, for those of you who don't know, I do group Zooms and I like do sessions with people and stuff, so I get to engage with a lot of different variety of people regularly, and this theme has been fun to watch. Like, yeah, and when it first started coming through in some of these groups, these individuals were talking about it where they were just like, one day they just decided they don't want any of their stuff, you know, and that was the first people who were coming forward and talking about it. And then more and more people are just like, you know, talking about they don't like how much stuff is around them, you know, and noticing the amount of stuff that, just like you said, you know, my thing was is that I had been operating as this once off-gridder person of like, there's some things that like jars, glass jars is my problem. Like, and so I'm purging everything right now, especially I'm moving to Arkansas soon. And so that was the first thing I threw away. And holy crap, there was a lot of them because I used them
For
typically in
everything, to drink, to
right.
store, everything. I get it.
Yeah. But I mean, and I'm a very spicy food person. I like spicy food a lot. And it's just one of those things. I'm always growing peppers and tomatoes and I'm always making my own sauces and stuff. And so that's part of it. Anyway, the idea of just dumping everything like is now what I'm doing because that's what we were told to do. We were guided.
Mm-hmm.
Nothing treasured, nothing lost. This could come
Yeah.
at quite the cost. And that's actually the message I got. And
I love
they
it.
were saying it because they're saying, get rid of the stuff that's in your way, basically. Like all of the things that we'd been collecting or thinking we should take with us that we never ever use. What is that doing to your space? I do know one thing. My energy sphere is about 150 feet in diameter. And if I'm in a place of clutter, like right now, I have a pile of papers right there, and it's disruptive to me. Like, I mean, it's really disorderly though. It's not like just a little nice little stack. And it's anything that's touching this energy sphere. If it's in a cluttery space, you'll notice that your energy is off kilter, you know, and so the thing though is being okay. This is a really good segue to the analogy of what we're doing in our whole human too, in our spirit and everything, is at first, what is the first thing you do when you're about to purge, to thin, to clean your house? Like you do when you clean the fridge, right? You make a big mess on the counter. Like you take everything out. You make a big mess in the middle of the living room and everybody's like, oh, and like, no, dude. And then
Mhm.
you can, one thing at a time, does this serve me? Nope.
Mhm.
Nope. And before you know it, you're down to a computer screen and a lamp. You know
Mhm.
what I mean? And it's like,
Mhm.
what is really so important about having all this stuff? The
Mhm.
storage unit business is one of the most booming business in a consistent way for more decades than any other business known,
Yes.
because
Yeah.
people buy a bunch of stuff and they don't have enough room for it. So they get a storage unit. And then they get a bigger house. So they work harder and get better jobs, and they have less better jobs and less time with their family, less time doing what they're meant to do. So they can afford a large enough space for all this, to get all their stuff out of the storage unit. What happens after that? Oh, I have extra room. I have empty rooms. We should get more stuff. And then
Mhm.
on and on and on and on. Most of my friends have at least 2 storage units, the ones around this area that I live near to. And some of them have 3 or 4 storage units of stuff that they don't even know what it is. And
Yeah.
they're paying for their own imprisonment every
Mhm.
month. There's a rent involved in this in
Yes,
more
there
ways than
is,
one.
which is an energetic exchange. I've purged many times. '07, big house down to a small house, got rid of all kinds of stuff. 2010, 11, divorced, basically got rid of more stuff, lived out of suitcases, got into a new place around 2015, 16, where I felt like I could nest and I started collecting more
Mm,
stuff. And then 2020 had to move, and it was like, Spirit was like, get rid of all of it. You need none of these tools, none of your stones, none of these tools, nothing. Everything you're going to learn is from within you.
mm.
None of this has any value where you're going. And I thought, but that's my favorite stone. That's my favorite rug. That's my
Right.
little, and it was like, no, no. So I had a whole different mindset, and it wasn't cathartic to pack it up. It was just like, okay, I'm going to pack you up, and I'm going to give you away, and I'm going to give you away, and I'm going to do this and that. And now I find myself in another space where I have things stored in the garage, and I'm like, what am I doing again? So I'm feeling like I'm back in that purge cycle again.
Yeah.
And it makes you wonder what any of this stuff really is. I mean,
It's
honestly,
investment.
what is it? I mean, it's just stuff that doesn't need to go where I'm going. And I know that. And when I get there, there'll be stuff that I need that will be fine. But we just are finding more and more people are just like, I don't want this anymore.
Yeah.
I mean, I just had a client the other day said, I let go of my job. I'm renting my house. I bought an old RV and I'm headed to Arizona. What's in Arizona? I have no clue. I have no clue.
But
I'm just being told to go there and maybe teach and do some coaching work. I don't know. But it's just interesting that I feel like I've been on this wagon a lot longer than others have.
yeah.
And I'm really getting kind of bored of the cycle. And I think that's why I'm having these deeper of like, come on, let's get going here. I've had enough of this recycling BS.
Yeah. Yeah. The the way it's really kind of fun, the way that the spirit talks and explains, because it's so brief typically, and it's all based around a symbol often, and then you'll see the symbol resurface over and over again. And what that is to and then another way that they'll do it is that like these spheres, they'll make them go together. So you're like, see, that goes together, that goes and so this root thing is just this talking about roots of a tree, roots of energetic roots, the root chakra, all of all what I was told was this is the week of the root. And it's funny, I wrote that. I changed on Facebook. I have a Facebook now. I guess you guys can see that. And I changed my background to be roots because I was like, okay, I'll respond to this. And um it's because it's the time of the root. Why? We are leaving the root. We are pulling our roots up. Many people are feeling like they're like this, like their roots are dank. This is the soul, the ground, and they're now up. And they're just kind of like, and it's some people at first, it feels uncomfortable because there's just been such a predictability or consistency in the way that they had been leading their life. I would say that when we embrace this experience, there's more of that in a higher understanding kind of way. I'm looking forward to when we stop using the words higher and lower, because they're not correct. Though, in order for everyone to understand what we're talking about, I still use those words, but every time I just like cringe,
I get it.
like, yeah. So as we go up here, and this is most people, many people, is also, they know that they don't know why, or how, but they're going to go live in the forest or with the trees. They're going to just, people are going, I just don't resonate with my job anymore. And there are people like me, there are many people like me who are able to make this happen. I'm making a spiritual community. I'm participating in helping make one of many that are occurring. And these places, there's no as the way that it's meant to run, there's no payment required to be here. Simply, if you are able to bring some type of structure to live in, whether it be a van, an RV, crate houses. People are talking about these a lot. Different examples like this, and then living, because the tiny home concept.
Yeah.
There's no, I'm not that person that I can live in a studio. Like, it could be just all one room. Give me a big porch. I can make a big porch. I can build. Like, sure. I like porches. I don't know. I'm that person, and I'm excited that we're all moving toward this lifestyle now. And when you have a smaller space that you live, the box that you go and spend your time in the box, if there's less stuff in there, you're not going to be in the box as much, and you're going to be in your natural habitat. How does a human behave in their natural habitat? We know how all the animals behave in their natural habitat. You know what I mean? It's going to be awesome. And so a lot of people are moving toward this way, and they know it intuitively, which is why for a lot of people, the roots are kind of feeling dangly. And we're leaving behind this, we're realizing that we are completely safe. There's no longer this waiting for this impending doom of whatever, fill in the blank. It's your spirit team's got your back. Oh, and you made a point about guide shifting, having different guides. In my experience, we have hundreds of guides, everybody, always. And the ones that are most useful for you in whatever moment you're in will come forward. There's an element of familiarity that's why I'm talking about this, because they want to make sure that you know that you're safe and secure. And familiarity often brings this. And many people I've been talking to the past few days are noticing that symbols, icons of different religious figures and stuff like that. This is what we've been talking about what's going to happen, are coming forward for them. And it's not really to do with who's coming forward for who. It's whoever brings the most comfort to the avatar of Pamela, right? Will come forward, because that way the message is heard with a capital H, right?
Well, it has to be unique into your sensory system.
Right.
What's unique into you and your awakening and activation. Everybody's a little bit different. We're all on different teams, but yet we're on the same team, and that is to be involved with our evolution. And that may be, as we said, getting rid of all the stuff that doesn't serve, the bigger bedroom, the bigger house, the bigger electrical bill, bigger garage, the bigger car. All that stuff is, many people are just dissatisfied. It gives absolutely no gratification to have all those things. Food isn't as interesting. Just things are not getting the rise of satisfaction, And I think, again, we're untangling ourselves to find more of our authentic canvas so that we can create from an authentic canvas.
Right.
And I think that we'll find that, communities like you're talking about, that you're going to venture off, and, the ones who will gravitate towards that community are the ones that are going to gravitate there, and others will gravitate elsewhere. So it's nice that these places are cropping up, so to speak, you
Mhm.
know,
Yeah.
but we have to be willing to uproot ourselves and move. And there's that saying, I've uprooted and moved everything clear across country. So we're
Yeah.
uprooting. At the same time, we're understanding the importance of our own foundation and the
Yeah.
solidarity within our own physical, energetic, and emotional, spiritual self. And that no matter where we land, we'll be fine. But we
Yeah.
still will have, at least I'm experiencing, kind of working with that humanism
Mhm.
that creeps in, and feeling like I would like a little bit more support, or groups of more intimate, you know, friends. And I find that some days I'm called to be a charging extrovert, and other days I'm super into the introvert, and yet I still have to commingle to the best of my ability as a human
Right.
walking around gaining all these experiences.
Right. Yeah, I agree. I mean, I find that, the way my life has been so beautifully lined out for me the past couple of years, all of it, if you look back, is, you can see the same thing, though this is a particular topic that I'm talking about, is that um as soon as I in just released the control, what had happened was we all of a sudden lost our land. Like in the middle of the beginning, it was in May 2020. Everything at that point was closed. The lockdown was in full swing. I had a 5-year-old and we were homeless for 9 months. And
Mm.
um, when that whole thing started, I remember people around me calling me crazy, remarking that I was so at peace. Like, why are you freaking out? You're homeless with a 5-year-old. Like, aren't you upset? And it's like, I knew what that was for, because I was still investing in the illusion of control. The kind of what we call control is not actual control. And it's called, it's better worded as called resistance. Um, and so when I was in a situation like that, that was what I needed. So I could completely let go of all control, and everything worked out exactly the way that it was supposed to, you know and that segued that transitioned me into having this life where
Mhm.
I'm actually doing what I want to do. Like, the reason that I do sessions is I started doing these Zoom meetings after I finally agreed to my guides, after I flipped them off for a year or so, um, to do YouTube. I'm like, fine, I'm not used to being the person in front of the camera. I still feel pretty weird about it. Like, I always hide my own image. I don't want to look at it. I don't like having to edit a video because then you have to hear your own voice and see your face and stuff.
Yeah.
Um, However, this made it so I was able to find a way to gain, and while we're still using the income, the financial system, I was able to do what I wanted to do anyway. And
Mhm.
um, why I'm showing you this is the natural course that everyone's taking. Most of these jobs that we call jobs are not actually, the amount, there's a lot of science and psychology to this. I don't want to go into it too deep because I know we're probably getting closer to the end of this conversation, but there's a lot of evidence to this, is that as soon as a person stops working, they find out that their cost of living is substantially dropped. It's crazy. It's
Mhm.
as soon as you don't think that you need to hurry and fill up your weekend because you were at work all day, all week, and all this stuff and all these different things. You don't need to have $9 coffees every couple of hours, things like that. You find out that, daily cost of living is more like $3, you know, and I'm probably underestimating it, but you know what I mean? It doesn't, that was the standard back when I first started doing it in 2019 or 2020. The point that I'm making is that so many of us are noticing our gradual, we just don't align with our occupation. We don't align with this way of having to have a structured schedule. Even we don't align with and so naturally, one at a time, and also many at the same time, are leaving these fields and are here. I can tell you, where I live is a town of 5,000 people, and we've been having an influx of people who have chosen to not have an address. They would call them homeless. This is not their name. They're not homeless. They have a home. They just don't want to be in a building. And
Mhm.
a lot of them are coming to this town for one reason or another, just flocking here. There's people everywhere right now. And I don't think this is a unique situation. I think this is a global, you know, occurrence where people are like, I don't want to invest in this anymore. This enslavement system is a lie, and I'm not going to participate. And the only way to make a lie go away is to stop agreeing to it.
Mhm. Well, when we're having, a heart ascension, our heart is ascending. We're
Yeah.
releasing the past. We're releasing things that don't need to hold on to us anymore, whether they've been fabricated or programmed into us one way or the other. And we associate our jobs with our currency, with survival, you know? And really, when we take a leap of faith and understand that, this 9 to 5 isn't all it's cracked up to be, because I never went back to it after the whole COVID thing, and created my own YouTube channel and started doing, this kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And there's days where I get worried, hey, I don't have enough on my books. And then there's something will come along. And I always find that I'm sustained.
Yeah.
And, you know, sure, could I choose to go and get a $9 cup of coffee? Yeah, but what a waste of money. I mean, that's not, because my currency is now in my time. My
Yeah.
currency is now in my self-development. My
Yeah.
currency now is in the value of understanding me even more. And I thought I'd been on this quest for a couple decades, but I'm really on it. And I'm on that quest to help other people find, where's your currency? Where's your
Yeah.
value? Where's your, power tools and your places of empowerment? And that's why, Pam, you and I do what we do. And
That's
then we
right.
get on here with no plan at all, just to talk about general stuff, in hopes that other people can vibrate somewhere with this or learn something from it, that they're not alone. And you know what? The other thing I think a lot of this is teaching us is that, are you okay being alone with your own thoughts and your own perceptions and your own ways of things? Do you need a lot of confirmation, affirmation, and applaud from somebody else? Or can you just be who you are with whatever it is that and be okay with that, and know that you're going to be able to pivot and walk among all of us in just as much harmony, if not more harmony,
Yeah.
because you're letting go of the need for all of these things, so to speak. So you're really living in a place more of love, which is such a cliche thing to keep saying, everything's love.
Well, it is though.
Well, it is.
Yeah.
It is. And whatever floats your boat to keep happiness and joy going, you do it. And you're going to find that it's the simplest things,
Yeah.
that does that. Yeah. And the
Yeah.
less you need of things outside of you. Yeah. So your cost of living can go way down, because you're like, you know what? I'm okay with an apple for dinner. Truly, I am.
Right.
I don't need a 3-course meal. I'm fine with just this. It
Yeah.
sustains me. And especially if you do energy work on whatever it is that you're ingesting, you're
Yeah.
giving it even more for yourselves. Well,
Exactly.
Pam, this has been a lot of fun. I want to chat with you after we get done recording, because I got to figure out how to get off this live thing if I didn't already disconnect us. But is there anything else you want to say in closing?
Yeah. You brought up something that's useful, that it I would say that this is you use the word pivot, and it's the pivotal moment for me when I really was able to be in my own energy and find out who that energy is I was shown and later found data supporting this, and though I didn't need it, I sometimes will look for evidence so I can show people that it's real so they'll believe it, because it's like, see, it's not just coming out of my channel message, but it's that their thoughts are not us, like, and a lot of times when we go into our quietness and by ourselves, we hear these thoughts, and lots of times they're not very kind. They're low self-talk, and they're different kinds of things. And it turns out the first 3 to 14 seconds of a thought is an advertisement. It's solicitors demanding your attention. And they're saying, do you want this one? Do you want this one? Do you want this one? Until you pick one. And it's like, then you engage. That's now you. However, it's truly outside of you. That's really not you. What's after is. And so which one are you going to pick today? I'm finding the past few days, surprisingly, more than I've ever had. I didn't, because everybody always said meditation's quieting the mind. And I used to have this whole thing, well, I can't get the thoughts to go in. They're like, well, don't acknowledge the thoughts. Now what's happening is I'm finally able to be with no thought. Like, and just like, I'll have the, wow, that's a pretty star, kind of stuff, but that's it. It's like, wow, and then just being in the energy. And the last part of that I want to say is that each time we do that, I'm noticing that these roots we were talking about, the ones that kind of help us operate in this place that we're leaving behind, the world that we're leaving behind, whatever wording you want to use, is that they're dissolving because they're used there. They don't need to be used here. And it's like, not there, it's they're pulling back into yourself, and you're becoming a more complete whole self. So this was like the real first kind of steps for me to be able to be in this energy that you're talking about. And it's a time to be happy and excited for. And so, when you're armed with power tools, you know what to do. You're okay. And we're all doing it with you. You're not alone.
Yeah. And just to be okay to be quiet in the void. Really, truly. And if your thoughts come up, just be with the thought and then watch it just kind of go away. And how long are you actually forcing that thought to stay? Because you're accustomed to processing a thought.
Right.
So it's all getting, that programming, out of your head, because, I'll catch myself doing it, and it's a lesson learned for me. And then I can experience it, and then I can share it with others when asked, or if they're experiencing something similar.
Right.
So I always feel like I have to go through things in order to kind of help others understand what might be going on in the barometer and the climate, so to speak. Well, this has been awesome, Pam. Thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you.
And so I'm just going to say goodbye on the stop live and then stop record, because this is my first time. So thank you, everybody, for hanging in with us on the live. And I appreciate you. So much love. And Pam, so much love to you.
And to you. Thank you.